Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SavvyCast. This is Jamie, and I'm thrilled that you're joining today, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas, wonderful holiday. I had a fabulous time with family. Everyone was here, everyone was home. And that leads me to today's guest. My youngest daughter, the baby, Emma, is home. She came home from California and she's flying back tomorrow. And we decided to do a podcast on why Emma graduated from Auburn and flew and moved and started living in California. She actually gets lots of questions about this, especially from kids in college who are about to graduate and they are curious as to how someone moves to a place halfway across
Or
or
it's fully across.
fully across,
Yeah.
yes, and how they survive, especially with, such a high tax situation. But Emma, thank you. And Emma, you've
Thanks
been
for
on here
having me.
before.
Yes, I was on here, I think a few years ago doing a transition into college podcast. So I asked my mom, I was like, I feel like so many people are curious about how it's been in California just because it is so different than Alabama. So I'm so excited to come on here.
Yes, I think this will be super helpful to a lot of people and moms, grandmoms, dads, granddads. This might be something that's helpful if you have a daughter or granddaughter or son, grandson who comes to you and says, I want to move to California. Because I'll be honest, I totally, I didn't ignore it, but I thought it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
She's trying to get attention. I'm just going to let her dad work it out with her. And it happened.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I feel like you didn't believe me for a while.
I did not believe you. I thought that there's just drama
Yeah.
going on because
Yeah.
okay. So we're just going to start. And what we did is we put a Q&A on my Instagram. We did it about a couple of hours
Like
ago.
2 hours ago.
2
Mhm.
hours ago. So we're going to actually need to take that down because we've gotten 3 pages of questions. So some of them were duplicates. So we're just going to go through these and let's start with Susan Emerson. Why is she moving? Are you sad? So that question was to me. And Susan, she has already moved. She's been out there. It'll be a year.
It'll be a year in July. So I've been there since I graduated in April and I moved out there end of May.
Yes. So she's quite dug in there as far as, moved in, settled, job, friends, church. Emma, I'm going to let you answer the why is she moving, but I'll just go ahead and answer the are you sad?
No, she is not sad.
No, I am very like we've got 3 daughters. 2 of them are married and they live here, and we love that. We wish that Emma lived here. But Emma's just like her mother. You will not change her mind if she wants to do something. So I have the personality. If I'm not going to beg, I'm not going to try to, I want her to get to experience what she wants to experience in hopes that one day she'll be back. But I think as parents, it's good if we can let them in the season of their life where they're an adult make their own decisions, even if it's not what we would pick. So that's
Yeah.
sort of, we miss her like crazy, but we're glad that she's thriving. So, Emma,
Mhm.
why did you move? You've always lived in Alabama,
Mhm.
went to a good Southern college,
Mhm.
Auburn University.
I loved it. Mhm.
So, tell us, why did you move to California?
In a nutshell, I think main reason being I went there most of my summers growing up to a camp, but it was in Northern California. So spent a lot of my
J.H. Ranch, for those of you who want to know, it's fabulous, fabulous.
amazing. Ended up working there in college. I loved it so much. But my dad also, he does business up there sometimes. So he would take us on the up and down the coast. And I always had such an infatuation with it. And I'm not sure if it's because I love beach towns. I always have. But I've just always had a strange pull. And I don't think I can necessarily describe why. But Malibu has always been like a fantasy dream for me, but I really didn't think that it was feasible just because of cost of living, stuff like that. But I found that it is 100% feasible if you make the right decisions leading up to it. But yeah, I really can't describe the why, but I've always, since I've been young, have known like I want to be there for a little bit.
Well, and I will say, Emma, your dad and I both grew up, we both grew up Church of Christ. That was our faith growing up. And Pepperdine, which
Oh
is
my
right
goodness.
near where you
Yeah.
are, that, I don't know if it's still affiliated with the Churches of Christ, but we all wanted to go there. We were all like, "Oh my goodness, let's go there. It's a Church of Christ
Yeah.
school." And we'll get into your connection with Pepperdine later, but
Hmm.
I mean, it's right there on the beach. Who would not want
Beautiful.
to at least visit? And some would want to live there. So I
Hmm.
think that's very understandable. I think you're in good company. Cam Clark, 123. I grew up in Southern Cal. How is she liking it? So, Emma?
I know there's a few questions about how I'm liking it and absolutely loving it. I think obviously there are some downsides to being across the country from your family. I miss my family so much and it's given me such a perspective shift of what I want in the future. But as for right now, all I have to say is it's been the greatest gift. And truly just a testament to the Lord's faithfulness in my life because this has been a dream. I mean, for as long as I can remember. So it truly is a dream. And I'm not just saying that lightly.
And Emma, that answers another question that was similar about why did you move to California?
Hmm.
Jenna knits, what made her decide to go so far away? It didn't
Yeah.
have anything to do with how far away. It was you
No.
love the beauty of California and the
Yeah.
beach. And Malibu has it all, mountains, beach.
Oh, it's the most, to this day, it's the most beautiful place I've ever been. But no, it has nothing to do with, how far because I'm very close with my family. And so that was honestly a downside. But yeah, as far as distance, I will say that's very hard because flying 4 hours with the time difference and getting off work, it's just not ideal. But life there, quality of life there is amazing.
Jo Beth Weaver, what do you love about California?
Hmm. Okay, so top three things on that come to mind. The people, the community I found, absolutely amazing. I'll talk about that later because there's a
Yeah,
question about
yeah.
that. I'd say the community, the beauty. I'm a huge beach girl, and mom doesn't agree with me. I think that location does matter with the mental state that I am in. I love Birmingham. I think it's amazing, but I feel completely myself here or completely myself in California. Being near a body of water is extremely important to me. So having the beach, I live in this place called the Palisades. So it's about 4 miles from Malibu, and then like 4 miles from Santa Monica. But I mean, I can walk or bike to the beach, and just watching sunset there every night is a dream. And waking up for sunrise with my friends. And then third, what do I love about California? I love how vast it is. Like I can drive 20 minutes and I'm like in downtown LA or the place I work, Century City. There's always things to explore. So yeah, I would say community, the beauty of it, just being right near the water, and then yeah, having endless opportunities and things to explore.
Okay, okay. Has she found a church? Does she have any friends there praying for a smooth transition? Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you so much. I have found a church. It's called Vintage Santa Monica. I love it so much. I get to hear from John Mark Comer, which he's one of my favorite people in this entire world, and I think he's so gifted. So I get to hear from him, and then Gare Jones, who's the head pastor, who's absolutely incredible. Love my church. The people there, it's like it gives me a taste of the South because in LA to meet quality people, you're really not you can't just go out and hope that they
Mhm,
appear. You have to be intentional about where you're placing yourself because it is so vast and it's just a big mixing pot of people.
mhm.
So the church really is where I've dug into and met a lot of my friends there. But then my two best friends, Kennedy and Emily, they live in my neighborhood. So literally, it's such a blessing how everything happened.
Mhm.
LA's huge, and then I happened to live near two of my best friends who I didn't know moving out there. Met one through Pepperdine from I had subleased in Malibu this summer. So met a huge group of my friends there, and then my friend Emily was her roommate. So just a blessing to have them right there.
Mm.
And then so many other friends too that are in Malibu. And then my neighbors are two of my best friends too. So
Oh
it's
my,
just such a blessing.
okay. And one of your best friends has become my best
Oh,
friend.
yeah.
And I
My
haven't
friend
even
Mike.
met him.
He's amazing.
Malibu Mike, who's a triplet.
Yeah. He's the best.
And about as dapper as anyone could be. And
is
he's
incredible.
wonderful. I love you, Malibu Mike.
He is
If
incredible.
you're listening.
And he's big
taken
reason.
very good care of you as a friend.
Oh,
Yeah.
he has been. So this summer, I subleased in Malibu from a girl who went to Pepperdine. So lived with a girl named Becca, who's one of my best friends now. And then my friend Tatum from college, who lived there for the summer. And we lived next to a group of 5 boys who quickly became our best friends. And Mike, Spencer, Nick, and then Kyle was in and out throughout this summer, and then Brent.
And they were like brothers.
Like brothers,
that helped.
they're
So
amazing.
you didn't have your dad there to help do anything.
No, they did everything.
And that's very Southern, I
It's
have to say.
rare. Oh, and it's rare to find.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's everywhere, but that's a Southern way of help, but just helping.
Pepperdine is a huge, that's why I think if you're going to make a move like this, be intentional about my friend Blakely Huff, who's now one of my best friends. I remember looking at her social media. She lived on 38, moved to California. I remember being like, I want to do this, but I don't even know where to start. So I DM'd her and she helped point me in the direction of, sublease from someone from Malibu. She really is.
Because you have to have connections to find the place.
Have to.
I mean, you can't just Google.
I mean, LA, my friends are what made me end up wanting to stay in LA. I wouldn't have still been there if it wasn't for these boys and Becca, because seriously, like when I was struggling, like the first few months there, they were the first ones to help with anything. They cared for us so well. And they ended up, when we moved, my friend Tatum ended up moving back to Atlanta. And then I was moving out into my actual apartment. Mike and all the boys hosted us a big party celebrating us with pictures and drinks and catered food. And like, it is just the most
community.
Oh, community. And that is what I'll say. Like, it made my experience. I would not have stayed for it not have been them.
And finding a community is important wherever you are.
It's the people that make the place.
It's the people that make the place.
Yeah.
But when the place is as beautiful as California, then that's great. Jenwell S. Jones, I want to say what great parents y'all are to let her spread her wings and feel confident. Thank you. Marnie Luther, is she coming out here for a job? Okay, Emma, tell about your job.
Okay, so I actually, when I went out to California for the summer, I was just planning on staying for 2 months. I had accepted a full-time job in Seaside, Florida, so on 30A. And then some things happened in the summer where I was like, you know what? I'm loving it out here. It's a dream, but already had roommates on 30A. I had a job lined up. It made the most sense. And I already had a community there because I've lived on 30A for the past 2 summers in college. But then as I was living in California, I was realizing like, okay, where I would thrive best just due to circumstances from the summer would not be 30A. One day I could go back there, but I think being able to be super independent and do something different, because 30A did get a little bit mundane just because I'd lived there before. So
it gets small real quick.
It does, yes. And great
like
community.
When you go on a vacation there, like from Birmingham, you see
everyone you know.
Everyone you know. Probably wherever you are from, you see everyone you know at 30A.
It wouldn't have fostered, I think my growth would have been a little bit stunted. So I remember though, I was like, the Lord will have to do something radical to allow me, because this was midsummer when I decided I didn't have a peace about 30A. So my friend from Pepperdine, they were all on the lookout for a job for me. And one of them texted and was like, I'd actually never met her, but she was like, hey, Emma, heard you were looking for a job. My law firm I'm interning at is looking for a recruiting/business development assistant.
And your degree from Auburn was marketing.
So I remember, and finding a job is literally the hardest thing in the world, no matter where you are. It's a struggle. So when this happened 2 days after I called my dad, kind of like, hey, I don't think I can move to 30A. Go in for an interview. And I didn't have my car all summer too. I was in Malibu with no car, Ubering everywhere. So my dad was like, oh, like Emma, like, yeah, like it's a great firm, like go and interview. I went in, I interviewed, loved the place, loved the people.
And it's in LA, so it's about a 20-minute drive.
But it's in Century City,
it's
which
Miller,
is like
Miller Barondess.
Amazing law firm. The people there are incredible. It just does feel like home. Ended up getting a call a week later that I'd gotten the job. And then Elise, in the best neighborhood in California, and I'm not biased, it's rated that. Like, look it up, and the reviews are incredible.
What is it?
The Palisades.
Oh, okay. Pacific Palisades.
Pacific Palisades.
I mean, this is, and y'all, her dad and I are not
Didn't help
funding
with
this.
one
We're
thing.
not help. I mean,
Mm-mm.
if she were to need to go to the hospital or something, we would help, but we're not.
I mean, I went to
And
urgent care and
yeah,
I paid. Yeah, I'm on my
not
own.
that we're
And
being mean, but we
no.
told her that,
Yeah, if I came out and
Dad calls it break the plate.
break the plate. But my graduation gift, I didn't ask for a gift. Dad knew this was my dream. So he thankfully helped me gently transition.
Yes,
God
we
didn't
were
like
gentle.
leave me high and dry, but I'm making a good amount and I've saved from a lot of previous jobs and summers. So got the job. My friend Abby from Pepperdine, because it's all connections. It just comes out to connections. She was like, Emma, my apartment's for lease. You need to get in with my apartment. There has not been an opening in that apartment in forever. It's impossible to find good housing. A sweet girl DM'd me on TikTok, who's now one of my best friends and roommate CF. Literally everything just fell in place perfectly. Accepted the job, and I love it. And I think that now that I'm exposed to such a high caliber of people, the people I work with are just, they have such a strong work ethic. They're working on super high profile things. It's great for me in my career too, to be exposed to that.
Yeah,
So,
because you did not use any connections
no,
that your dad had in the business world or
no.
that, because a lot of times we have connections that
Mhm.
help. And
But California, dad was like, I want you to do this for yourself where you don't feel like you're leeching off of me.
Yes. How did you meet friends?
Okay, so Mike asked
Well,
this.
we've already addressed a lot of this, but
Mhm.
were there any ways other than all that you've mentioned?
Yeah, I think getting involved, my friend Blakely started a pickleball league. So with a bunch of Pepperdine people, met a lot of people through there. And then just like Instagram. And I know that's crazy, but don't be afraid if you move somewhere, even if it's like Charleston or Nashville, DM people. That's how Blakely became my friend. That's how, most of my friends get connected. You just have to DM and see, okay, I want to go to California. Who do I know that's already done it that I can, pick their brain and find connections? So, summer though, and living next to the boys was how mainly I made all my friends.
Talk about, and this is a thing. This is an issue. Talk about the cost of living from rent to groceries to car registration to taxes. This is my Sharona. And I'm going to say this. We talked about this at lunch today, and
Mhm.
I texted my friend Jerry Delisandro, and we did a podcast on, he's behind the scenes of the grocery world. And I said, Jerry, is a Whole Foods priced the same in every state, every region? And he said, no. And I said, what's it based on? And he said, basically a little socioeconomic, but the comparable prices and the competition. So Emma, in California, you
Mhm.
found it is not Alabama
It is like what price wise?
price wise.
Yes,
The Whole
I
Foods here is a little bit less.
is a little bit, but I haven't with coffee shops and stuff like that. If I go and I get a coffee, it's not going to be as much, or it's kind of going to be a similar price as Alabama. But gas, my tank is 112 to fill up, whereas here,
About 70 or 80.
Mhm. And so imagine, I think with California, everything here just double it, and that's going to be what you're paying. But you don't, people I think are like, oh, the cost of living, but also you're getting comped for that with whatever job you work. Your employer understands, hey, gas is a little bit more, so therefore we're gonna, pay you a higher salary. Like it's not equivalent to what you're getting paid here, so it's doable. The only areas I've seen that are crazy would be rent. My rent is a lot, and then gas. But other than that, like food maybe for eating out, but it's not insane like people make it out to be.
This question is from Jackie Kohler Wilson. Has she met any nice young man at work or the new church? Well, we were talking today at lunch, and sometimes if you go, the kids who graduate, if they meet someone at a bar is a very relative term in
Yeah.
Alabama. A bar can just be a place that serves barbecue and has like a bar right there.
Yes,
It
yes.
doesn't mean you're going out drinking and partying.
It's not clubs too.
But
I feel like
right,
there's
right.
a difference.
But in Alabama, that's sort of a lot. It's out there like that. But you were saying that you would never, ever, ever go to a bar in California.
Oh.
Ever. That you would only want
To
to
expect to meet a guy
like it would not be like here.
oh my goodness, because it's a melting pot of so many different people, which is a great thing in so many ways. But as far as like moral beliefs with like what I believe in, like, having a faith. Like, you cannot just expect that other people have the same views as you. Whereas like at Auburn, if someone asks me on a date, usually my answer would 100% be yes, because like, okay, they're probably a quality guy.
We're in the Bible Belt.
Yes. But in LA, I think I've met amazing guys, but I have noticed there is a cultural, for sure, it's more rare, and there is a cultural difference.
Gabberts 2021 didn't think people were moving to Cali, cost of living, politics, etc. Now, in the social media and the news that I follow, I'm not so sure much anymore since the election, but there were a lot of people moving from California to Texas and red states. There was a red state, blue state difference. What do you say to that? You might not be in the thick of the political side of it. We've already discussed cost of living, but do you ever hear people talk about moving because they feel that they're not aligned politically, or if there's an issue there? Because I mean, there are people who do that.
I would say I haven't noticed.
But you're in another world too.
Yes, in another world. But the area I live in, it isn't downtown LA. Like, I live in a very affluent neighborhood in California, in an apartment, obviously. But I don't see kind of the stuff that you would necessarily see. Okay, people are moving because of riots or X, Y, and Z. What you're seeing on the news, I have not witnessed any of that. So I haven't noticed. I know a lot of my friends actually did transition to 30A just because cost of living and being so far. But as far as politics go, I haven't seen that.
The things that we see on the news that are happening.
Yeah, I would say
California.
The news is a very, small portion of what actually is happening in California, I feel like.
Colleen Yaya Wolf, I love that name. Yaya might be a good grandmother name.
I know, I like that.
Yaya.
I feel like...
Do you plan to return to Alabama one day?
Honestly, I was telling my mom this. My sister Ellie is pregnant, and so obviously I would love eventually to be closer and not a 4-hour plane ride, but I was telling my dad, was like, okay, where out of everywhere you lived, where do you feel most at home? And the answer for me, it's 30A still. Out of everywhere I've lived, that is where I feel most at home.
And when you say 30A, a lot of people may not know what that is. 30A is the strip of Florida, the northern strip that has the places most people vacation: Rosemary Beach, Alice Beach,
Seaside,
Watertown, Seaside, Watercolor. If somebody vacations in Florida, it's usually there.
Yes,
probably
because and Destin maybe like sometimes.
Destin is a great.
It's
but 30A is sort of the thing.
And it is a very vacation-esque town. So I would love to move there. I was talking to my sister about this too. Maybe with my husband one day, or have a house there one day. But I don't necessarily, unless like, obviously things can happen, but if it was up to me, I do not think I would come back to Alabama. But I do think somewhere driving distance for sure.
Oh, and driving to Florida, I mean, a lot of our friends have second homes that are on 30A.
Yeah.
So that is that's like moving home practically.
Yes.
It's not a far drive.
It's like a 4-hour drive.
Oh, yeah.
It's beautiful, so people want to go.
Oh, it's a great, easy drive. Why was she not like the twins, wanting to stay at Birmingham and be a cookie cutter?
Oh, I called my sister's cookie cutter one time because they've never left Alabama. But I think, like I told my mom, the plans, it's hard for me because I can have all these plans in my mind, but if the Lord has a different plan for me, or if, someone comes in my life that makes me want to change those plans, it doesn't matter what I'm wanting right now. Like, someone can come and change that, or things can happen to alter that. But yeah, staying in Alabama honestly was just never an option. It was either 30A. It was California for a little, and then 30A. But things changed, things happened and shifted this summer where I was like, no, 30A is not healthy or smart or wise right now. So you know what? California, the Lord opened so many doors so evidently that why would I like reject that? Like, it was just so the Lord through everything.
Yeah.
And even like my friends and I just talk about all the time, we are so blessed. And it's so evident that the Lord has us out there because of the way things happened.
And I will attest to that, as I think we've hit all of the questions that were they were all related.
Mhm.
I will say because, and a question that I get probably most often is, are y'all helping her? Is she doing all of that California living on her own? And pretty much yes.
Yeah, dad's been gracious in a lot of ways. I'm not gonna like act like
I mean,
he hasn't at all. But y'all don't pay for rent, stuff like that.
right, right. And it is truly the Lord, the way everything, getting a job, getting a place, it was the Lord. So I would just, what would be, as we end this, I would say the last thing is, what would you tell to someone who themselves is about to graduate and wants to take the leap, or to the parent or grandparent of a child wanting to do that and might be fearful? What are some of your best words of wisdom?
I would say coming from someone who, like mom said, like her and dad, when I said I want to move to California, we got in so many arguments because it almost felt like
I thought it was,
disillusionment. You know, they were like, okay, the logistics of that are near zero, which is
yeah.
true. But I had my mind set. So if you want to move somewhere far, it doesn't have to be California, but far, I would say there's such value in getting out of your hometown for a little. You can always come back, but I think experiencing the world outside of where you're from is huge. But I think I would, number one, if you want to do this, you have to be proactive. I was looking for jobs literally constantly on LinkedIn, interviewing. Even though that's not where I found my job,
Mhm.
I still was being
Oh,
proactive
you were
years in
scrappy.
advance.
You were
Yeah.
so scrappy. You were working because we weren't helping
Y'all
her at
didn't help
all.
me at
'Cause
all.
we were thinking this will fizzle out. She's
Yeah.
not going to find a job. She
Yeah.
won't be able to afford an apartment.
Yeah.
This is going to fizzle. And it didn't. So as she said, the Lord put pieces together and she's thriving. So
Mhm.
would you say, obviously if you're a person of faith, pray about it and trust
Mhm.
the Lord
And be proactive.
and be proactive, because other parents might be like us and say, we're not going to facilitate that. If you want that, you've got to do it.
Do it.
I
would
and
say-
you had grit and you did it.
And I did, and I DM'd so many people who now, a lot of them are some of my best friends. I reached out to my friend Blakely and I was like, hey, I see that you made these steps. How did you do it? And I started to, get creative, get scrappy. I saved my money. Like I did have a job all throughout my senior year and made a good bit from that. I had
Mhm.
jobs all throughout college, which I would say that's important.
Mhm.
If you're parents, I think it does you a disservice as a parent to just fund throughout
Yeah.
college. Yes, experiences are so fun, but on the back half, me being able now to live in California, when I missed out on a few things, yes, in college, but on the back half, like so grateful I did, because now I'm post grad and having these incredible experiences that I think I wouldn't have had if I had just squandered.
Oh, absolutely.
So I would just say DM, get creative with
Make
who connections, and don't use, there's a difference between using people and connecting to where it's like, hey, I want to pick your brain on, if you want to make
Mhm.
this work, how did you do it?
Mhm.
So,
And Emma, if you think of any resources that maybe we haven't discussed that
Mhm.
we can put maybe on places your favorite places to live, eat.
Mhm.
And
I have a list right now, like a big notes app of like LA recommendations.
Oh, y'all, don't miss the show notes because she will put all the places to eat. And I just have to ask you, I want to eat an In-N-Out burger so badly. Have you had one?
I've had In-N-Out. It is so
Is there
good.
anything like it anywhere else?
I will say I like Milo's burgers better. Milo's is better to me.
Shut up.
It is. It is. In-N-Out's good, but I think it definitely has gotten a little overhyped.
Oh my goodness.
So I think Milo's is
I love
100%
Milo's.
better.
Now, do you have to take the sauce off at Milo's? Because that makes it
Yeah,
very
I don't
different.
like sauce. I don't
Okay.
like sauce.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so guys,
And
check.
Mom's gonna come out hopefully soon.
Yes, I am for sure. And guys, we are going to put all of her favorite places to eat, put the good places to live, maybe
Yeah.
rent.
Oh yeah.
Guys, those things can be invaluable. At least you have an idea. And then
You can't look up places to live in LA. When I was originally doing that, it was giving me places in like Calabasas or like areas that now I'm like, oh my goodness, so thankful that like I had connections. So
Mhm.
if anyone is interested in California too, Mom will give you, just DM her, she'll give you my number. But I know it's rare from the South for people to want to move there. But
Oh well, I
just a
don't
big
know.
move in general, I can help with resources, hopefully.
Awesome. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. I hope this has been enjoyable and helpful in some way. And it will probably be 2025 by the time this posts. I'm not sure. I think it will be. So we're off to a new year. I appreciate all of you. And until next time, you have a fabulous rest of your day. Hi, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the SavvyCast. If you'll take the time to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, that would mean so much. As always, thank you for listening and have a blessed day.